This home inspector was hired by the buyer, meaning I've never worked with them before. So the buyer of this particular house is a general contractor, so he has relationships with people in the industry, people that he knows, likes, and trusts. So, we'll see how it all plays out. All right. We're here in Winter Garden this morning for our home inspection. And for those of you who don't know, in the contracts here in Florida, we have a section for home inspections and the length of time. And it's all negotiable. Typically, it's 7, 8, 9, 10 days home inspection period. Sometimes those periods get extended based upon the condition of the property or if there's additional things that we need to look at, meaning if we have to get a contractor in here. If something comes back in the report where we have to get an actual HVAC or a plumber or an electrician to look at something, typically the sellers will extend those timeframes. But if nothing comes back in the report, for this particular property, we negotiated a 7-day home inspection period. So what does that mean? From the time the last individual signs or initials the contract, that is the execution date of the contract. From that day, the clock starts ticking. So during that 7-day time period, if anything comes back in the report, or quite honestly, the way the contracts are written, a buyer can cancel the contract. Doesn't even have to give a reason why they're canceling and get that earnest money deposit refunded to them. We're here for full home inspection for a 4-point, which is plumbing, electric, HVAC, and the roof. And that's important for insurance. The insurance companies want to see that 4-point, and they also want to see the wind mitigation report. So the wind mitigation is strictly for the roof. And they want to see the big ticket items, make sure everything's functioning properly. They want to see there's at least 5 years useful life on the roof. Another big misnomer here in Florida with insurance or homeowners insurance or getting insurance, especially with past storms, the media blows everything up. It's like, oh, you can't get insurance. If you do get insurance, it's super high or high deductibles. It's not the case. We work with a local broker here that has access to multiple carriers, and insurance is very reasonable. Even if you had to get flood insurance, most properties here in Central Florida are in flood zone X, which means you don't need flood insurance. So, but the insurance companies want to see that 4-point, and they want to see the wind mitigation reports, because those reports will help you not only get insurance, but if the big ticket items are newer or updated, you're going to get a discount on your insurance. He's also going to do a termite inspection or wood destroying organism. That report obviously looks for live termites or past termite damage, which some of these reports, the VA loans and FHA loans require the wood destroying organism reports. They even want to see if there's any kind of wood rot as well. They will notate wood rot on those reports. That needs to be cut out or replaced if it's bad enough. And then the inspector would have to come back, sign off on that WDO report and make sure that was taken care of. Is the WDO report different because for like VA and FHA, they're required. Conventional finance is not required.
Correct.
But are those reports different for VA versus FHA, or is the same report?
The reports are a little different basically because the FHA, VA, they require a clear report, meaning there cannot be any wood rot, there cannot be any termite activity. They also like to make notes to see where it's been treated, how it's been treated, where we're at with the treatment, because it falls into coverage.
This particular borrower here for this house, purchaser, is going with a conventional loan. So conventional loans, they don't require the termite report, but I still recommend it, even if it's block construction, or especially if it's wood frame. All these reports I recommend to our clients, our customers. It's just important to have. And then if anything comes back in these reports, you can, even with an as-is sale and purchase agreement, which is what most agents use in Florida, you still can renegotiate depending upon the situation. What comes back in the report. If there's additional work that needs to be done, if we have to get in another contractor to take a look and get quotes, These are all, when you're on the buy side of the transaction, ways in which you can negotiate. And if the seller comes back and says, look, we're done, I've already negotiated, I'm already giving concessions, I'm at my bottom line, then the borrower has a choice to make. They either take the property as is, or they cancel the contract, get their deposit back, and move on. So this particular property, they started at $585,000. They reduced it to $578, and then they dropped it to $550. Now, we're on the buy side of this deal. The buyers that we're working with, they knew where they wanted to be. They want to be in Winter Garden. They want to be in a location, in a community where you can take your golf cart, drive it to Plant Street. They wanted a pool. So we did find some properties early on that were like in the 535. Now those properties got swept up relatively quickly. But again, because this house started higher at 585, they were essentially maybe 50 grand above where the market saw value. So they were literally chasing the market a little bit and coming down, coming down, coming down. So when they got to the 550 mark, for our buyers, this one check marked all the boxes. I'm Matt, I don't know.
Hey, Larry, neighbor.
Oh, okay. I'm the agent on the buyer side.
He's hoping for some good tenants.
They're awesome. We've been looking in this general vicinity, and they really wanted the pool, and the location, man, is awesome. This neighborhood is
Well, my
great.
my wife and I will be so thankful to have
Yeah.
neighbors.
Yeah. No, they're super nice people, man. You're gonna love them, man. The buyers did get concessions towards their closing costs, which is gonna cover not only all of their closing costs, but they're also gonna be able to do a little bit of a rate buy down as well, which makes it even more affordable for this particular buyer because they're gonna get a better interest rate than they would have previously. So when it all came to fruition and they saw it and the price came down to where they saw value, then we were able to get them in like that night, boom, right up the contract, get the process going. Right now we're at the home inspection, which is a 7-day home inspection period. Unlike, people up north that have to hire an attorney and it's a 90, 120-day process from the time you go under contract to the time you close. One beautiful thing about Florida is from the time we go under contract to the time the buyers get the keys, it's a 25-day process from start to finish. And we got an awesome team from the title company to the mortgage broker that's working on this, to the home inspector that's here today that's going to get the report back to the buyer. So unless something crazy comes back in the report, we can get this deal done relatively quickly. The home inspection process we always recommend it. It's a must. You need to have someone else's eyes on the property because there can be things hidden, right? On the flip side of all this, it really depends on the individual buyers and sellers, and I'll talk about both sides, but buyers and what they see as deal breakers, right? There's times where you get reports back and it's like a laundry list of just red. Now, so you never know how buyers are gonna react to that, right? They're gonna look, some individuals look at these reports and they're like, well, really, that's not really a big ticket. Oh, there's caulk missing. Oh, there's a little crack here. There's a crack in the tile. All right, I can deal with all this stuff. Other times they look at all this and they see dollar signs. They're like, oh my goodness, this is gonna cost X amount of dollars. And I've been on the listing side where I get the report or I get the summary report. And the buyer's agents are like, ooh, this is gonna be $10,000 worth of work. I'm like, what do you mean? Where are you getting $10,000? They literally are just pulling numbers out of the thin air. So what we need to do is, and I got people on speed dial, and I'll send that report to them and say, hey, what would it cost for you to come in and take care of these 25 items? And they're like, $500. I'm like, seriously? So then I send that over to the buyer's agent, and they're like, oh, okay, well, will they do 1,000 in concessions? And of course the seller will do 1,000 in most cases, right? But then there's other situations where you get a roof report back and there's missing shingles, or the roof is, let's say for example, the roof has like 8 years left of useful life. So a lot of time agents will be like, oh, the roof is shot, it's shot. No, it's not shot. It's maybe on its way out, but your borrower can still get insurance. It's still insurable. The rate is not doubled or tripled. You know what I'm saying? And and that's when I call my insurance guy and say, hey, can you send me a quote on the, and this is I'm on the listing side, send me a quote for our listing. And I typically get this up front because I've been doing this long enough, and some of the more savvier buyer's agents, they only have a few tools in their toolbox that they're gonna throw at us and try and get a better deal for their borrowers. But if we can preemptively be in front of those types of questions and be like, what are you talking about? Here's an insurance, they want insurance here, $1,800 a year, boom. $500,000 deductible here, or $2,000. It's very reasonable, even with the roof the way it sits. And then God forbid, when the roof needs to be replaced, it's a $1,000 hurricane deductible or whatever it might be. It's not as dire or terrible as they make it feel. They're just trying to squeeze the seller for more concessions. So you have to just be ready for those types of scenarios, so you can, and that's part of Team Freda. We say Team Freda is Jen and I, but there's a lot more behind the scenes, the individuals and companies that we've worked with over the years that we trust because we've used them and we've gotten great feedback from our customers as well. So, and we've also had situations on the listing side where we get these reports back. I mean, it was a beautiful property in Eustis on a lake, and this home inspector was there for like 8 hours. I mean, no joke. And my sellers were upset. He was going around putting stickers on every little thing. I mean, and it was like the buyers, essentially they scared the buyers from getting a beautiful house on the lake in which they wanted to retire in Florida, because he had all these things on the report, and they wanted a $50,000 deduction. And my sellers were like, no way, there's just no way. We've lived in this house for X amount of years. Yeah, there's some little issues we understand, correct, but this is way, way over the top. So what happened? They're like, the buyers canceled, they couldn't come to terms, the buyers and sellers canceled the contract, gave them back their earnest money deposit. We put the house back on the market, got a better offer. That next home inspector that comes in, well, there's some things on the report, yeah, but within reason. That particular buyer had no issues, didn't negotiate a thing going forward, and we closed the deal. So you got to know who you're working with. You got to, sometimes, 8-hour inspection is way over the top. And again, that's why from an agent perspective, you never know how these reports are going to affect the individuals involved. And we have to try and show them with factual data, with contractors that know what they're doing, to show them that, look, some of these things that you think are huge issues are not as bad as the report seems to show. All right, so if you had any questions that went unanswered in this video, please shoot us a comment, or if it's easier, you can always reach out via text, 407-383-4021. We'd love it if you subscribe to Team Freda's channel, and we hope you're having a great day. Thanks.